The microscope cabinets are here in the back of the room. You'll see each cabinet has a set of numbers to tell us which microscopes are in that cabinet. Right, so this cabinet right here, it's got microscope 7 and 8 in it. I open it up, and what we can see is there are actually 2 microscopes in there. Right, this one in the front is actually number 8. That means microscope number 7 is behind it. We can see that this microscope has a dust cover on it. We'll go ahead and leave that dust cover, this plastic guy here, in place while we carry our microscope. Some of those dust covers are cloth, but many of them are this clear plastic like this. Go ahead and leave that on while you carry your microscope. You're going to carry your microscope with 2 hands. You're going to put one hand on the arm of the microscope, right, this curved part right here, and put your other hand underneath the base of the microscope down here. Right, always carry it with 2 hands. Right, so you're going to hold it with 2 hands just like this. Right, so I'm using both of my hands to make sure it's fully supported, one hand underneath the microscope. Notice how we're going to carry it horizontally. We're not going to tilt it forward or back. Right, you don't want a piece to fall off of that microscope and shatter all over the ground. Right, so we're going to carry it nice and smoothly and set it gently down on our table like so. Okay, here's our microscope. Now we can take off that dust cover and take a look at what we have. Alright, here's our compound microscope. Notice our microscope number here, right? You're going to use your same microscope number the entire semester. Here's our power cord. We're going to plug that in just a minute, but let's just take a look at what we have. We've got our ocular lenses. These are the things you're going to look through. Notice you can adjust, right? You can kind of tilt it here, and you can adjust these for your own interpupillary distance, right? So it will fit your face. You can make it narrower or wider so it's comfortable for you. Notice down here at the base we have our little on-off switch here, so once your microscope is plugged in you can turn the switch to turn it on. Now this guy here is the stage. This is where you're going to put your slide, right in here. We'll be able to move your slide around using the stage knobs right here. Here's your light. So when you turn your microscope on, you should see the light come on down here. This is your rheostat knob that's going to adjust how bright your light is. Now, I don't know if you can see this in this video, but this knob's got some little numbers here. We want to make sure this is turned all the way down to its lowest setting before we turn on our microscope. And the reason for that is if it's turned on real bright as soon as we switch on our microscope, that puts a lot of stress on this bulb when we turn it on, and then that bulb is going to burn out a lot sooner. If your bulb is burned out, it's going to take us quite a while to get that replaced, so then you're going to have no microscope for a big portion of the semester, and that's no fun. These guys here, these are your objective lenses. Notice we're going to have 4 objective lenses on each of your microscopes. They're going to vary in size and in magnification. So we start with this little guy that's in place right now. That's the 4 times objective lens. That's also called the scanning objective lens. We're always going to start with that one. And then we can just rotate this. And now our low power objective lens is in place. That's our 10 times objective. It's got that yellow stripe. Our high power objective is our 40 times objective with the blue stripe. And then this last one here, that's 100 times objective. That's our oil immersion objective. We will only use that if we're also using immersion oil. So we're never going to use this one in Bio 7. You're going to use that some. If you've had Bio 6, you will have used it. If you take microbiology, you're going to use it. We don't really tend to use this one in Bio 7 unless it's something that's on demo for you. So you really shouldn't ever have this one in place. Right. So these microscopes have 2 lenses that you're going to be using. Your objective lens plus the ocular lenses that you look through. These ocular lenses magnify things 10 times. So these are a compound microscope having 2 lenses. So if I had, for example, this high power lens in place, that's magnifying your image 40 times. But you're also always looking through these objective lenses, magnifying things 10 times. So your total magnification is the multiplication of the 2 together. So 40 times, 10 times, so your total magnification here would be 400 times. All right, one more thing to show you here on a microscope before we put a slide on, and that is the focus knobs. All right, so see where the focus knobs are. They're here on the side of your microscope. They're actually on both sides. It's the same thing on either side. Right, so you can use either your left or your right hand as you choose. Notice on both sides we have 2 knobs here. We have this big knob, right? So this is the one close to the microscope. This big knob right here, and then there's this smaller knob. They're actually 2 separate knobs, but they both do the same thing. They're both going to move the stage. Remember, the stage is where you put your slide. Now notice, if I turn this big knob, you see what's happening to the stage there? I'm moving that stage up or down. Right, so this big knob is the coarse focus. Right, it's moving that stage a lot as I turn this coarse focus knob. So that's where you want to make those big adjustments in your focus. So whenever we're focusing our microscope, we are moving the stage up or down. Right? This little guy is the fine focus knob. It's making tiny little adjustments, but it's doing the exact same thing that the coarse focus knob is doing. It's moving the stage up and down, just by tiny little amounts. So it's not moving it a lot, just tiny little amounts. So once you're kind of roughly in the right spot with the coarse focus knob, then you can make your fine adjustments with the fine focus knob. Right? Now again, notice that coarse focus knob moves things a lot. So you want to use the coarse focus knob when you're first starting out and you're using especially that scanning objective, the nice little short one. Once you get up to a higher power, right, if you're on your high power lens, I don't want to see you using that coarse focus knob, this guy. Because what you can do is you can send that long high power objective right through your slide, breaking your slide and breaking possibly the lens as well. I'm not going to be happy with you if you do that. So whenever you're using a higher power objective, you should only be adjusting with your fine focus. If you can't get your image in focus using this, what are you going to do? You're going to go back down, do a lower magnification. All right, oops, here we go. Back down to a lower magnification and adjust from there. All right, here we go. I'm going to plug in my microscope, like so. Now I'm going to make sure that my rheostat is all the way down. It's on number 1. It's the lowest it can go. I'm going to check that my scanning objective is the one that's in place, right? That's a short little red one, 4 times objective. That's the one that's in place. I'm going to make sure it's all the way clicked into place. And I'm going to make sure my microscope stage is nice and low using my coarse focus adjustment. It's nice and low so I have plenty of room to work. All right, here's my slide box. I'm going to pick out a slide out of my slide box. Now when you look at your slide, you'll see you have a slide label. It's going to tell you what the slide is. And you're going to have your specimen on the slide. Now that specimen is what I want to look at. So that's what I want to make sure is in the right spot. I can switch my microscope on. Now, if my microscope is working, I should see a little bit of light coming up through my bulb. But right, I have my rheostat turned all the way down, so it's not going to be very bright, but if I turn my rheostat, I'll start to see that light get brighter and brighter. You want it to be fairly bright once you start to use your microscope. And if I look along the stage, I can see right where that light is coming up, that's where I'm going to want my specimen to be centered once I get my slide on the stage. Right, here goes my slide onto the microscope. Yeah, I'm going to have to adjust it here. There we go. Okay, now can you see how this slide is fully secured in here on this stage? I've clipped it into place. It's all the way back. Right, this little clip is keeping my slide secure. Now, notice that my specimen is not centered where the light is coming up. I do want my specimen to be right here where the light is coming up, so that means I have to move my slide around a little bit. Remember how we're going to do that? With these stage knobs. Right, this little guy is coming down off the edge of the stage. So this top knob is going to move the stage forward and backward. The bottom knob is going to move the stage and my slide left and right. Right, so forward, backward, left, right. So I'm going to use those knobs to move the slide around so that the specimen is right where the light is coming up. So notice I'm adjusting this, just looking with my naked eye around the edge of the microscope. I haven't started looking through the microscope yet. Don't bother to do that yet. You want to just get this slide in about the right spot, just using your naked eye. All right, that looks like it's about right. Okay, now it's time to look through the microscope. I want to look through these ocular lenses here. I'm going to use both of my eyes. So as I do this, I'm going to have to adjust the interpupillary distance to fit the distance between my eyes. So once again, notice that we are using our scanning objective. We always, always, always want to start with the scanning objective. That shortest objective, the one with the red stripe, 4 times magnification. Remember, we're also going to be looking through those ocular lenses that magnify things 10 times, so our total magnification now is 40 times. This is the lowest amount of magnification we're going to get using these microscopes. Okay, I'm looking through the microscope and I don't see anything. Uh-oh, what am I going to do now? I need to focus my microscope, right? I'm on that scanning objective, so I can use the coarse focus knob, this big one. That's the one I want to use. I want to make big adjustments now, and I can, because no matter how much I turn that focus knob, right, my stage is not going to hit my lens. I can turn this focus knob without worry, as long as I'm using that scanning objective. I'm not going to hit anything. I can adjust it as much as I want. One more element here on your microscope is this little guy right underneath the stage. So right here, this is called the iris diaphragm. That's going to focus the light on your specimen, on your slide. So we can just slide a little slider back or forth. You can play around with that as you're looking at your slide. That's going to focus the light on the specimen itself. So that would be kind of your last step. Right, so once you get your specimen into focus and right where you want it using that coarse focus knob on your scanning objective, then once it looks as clear and crisp as it possibly can look, and the specimen, the part of the specimen you want to look at is right in the middle of your field of view, then you can go ahead and move up to the next objective. Right, we're always going to go in order, so my next objective will be the low power objective. That's that 10 times objective. We're also looking through the ocular lenses, so our total magnification now is 100 times. Go ahead and look through your ocular lenses again. Now, you may still need a little bit of focus adjustment, but it's probably not that much, so at this point you could probably adjust with that fine focus knob. It's still acceptable to use your coarse focus knob when you're on the low power, this yellow one, but you probably won't need the coarse focus. You're probably going to be okay with the fine focus. So I'd try the fine focus, and if you find that you're needing that coarse focus knob, it means you didn't probably focus well enough when you were using the scanning objective. And if you have too much trouble here getting it focused, go back down to the scanning objective again. Right? Increasing your magnification on the microscope is like zooming in to an image on a computer or on your phone. If you're really zoomed in, it's going to be hard to get that big picture and kind of find the right spot. It's easy to start zoomed out. And only when you found your location when you're zoomed out, only then can you really have any success when you move up to the higher magnification. Okay. Once our image looks really good, it looks nice and crisp and clear as possible when we're on our low power objective. We've focused it as much as we can using that fine focus knob. And the part of the slide we want to see is right in the middle of our field of view. We've adjusted that using our stage knobs. It looks just perfect when we look through our ocular lenses here. Then we can think about moving up to that high power objective. Right? That one with the blue stripe, our 40 times magnification objective, the high power objective. Right? Now, once we're all set on that low power objective, the only thing we need to do is just rotate, and we're going to slide that high power objective into place. Look how close that objective lens is going to come to our slide. It's almost touching. Again, this is why when we're using our high power lens, we are only ever going to adjust with our fine focus, not that coarse focus. You touch that coarse focus knob, you are very likely to break that slide and that lens. Right? You shouldn't need it anyway. Just adjust that fine focus. Now, a lot of people, when they're going up to high power, they get nervous because they see that that lens is going to get really close to their slide and they think, uh-oh, I better lower the stage so it doesn't hit. Now, if you're in focus, that high power lens is not going to hit your slide. If you lower your stage, what are you doing? Right? Remember what this knob does. It's a focus knob. You lower your stage, you are taking your microscope out of focus. Right? Don't do that. If you're in focus on the lower objectives, this high power objective is not going to hit your slide. Right? It'll be just fine. Again, remember, we're not going to use that oil immersion focus in here. This one can only be used with a drop of oil on your slide, otherwise that lens will scrape on the slide. So never, ever, ever have this guy in place unless you're using oil, which we're not going to do in Bio 7. Once you're all done viewing the slide, you're always going to come back down to your scanning objective, turn your then coarse focus knob, lower your stage back down so you can have easy access to this slide. Go ahead and take the slide off of the stage, put your slide back in the slide box, and now you're ready to start all over again with a different slide. Or maybe you're all the way done using your microscope. If you're done using your microscope, remember to put it away using the opposite of the way you set it up. Double check that the scanning objective is in place. We want to turn down that rheostat. We want to make sure that the light is turned all the way down as low as it can go. Double check that your stage is all the way down. Turn off the off switch. And I'm going to unplug my microscope. I'm going to take my cord, tuck it up neatly right here. I'm going to put my dust cover back on my microscope. And it's going to be time to put it away. And now that we're all done using our microscope, we're going to put it away the same way we got it out. We're going to use two hands again. All right, one hand on the arm of the microscope, one hand under the base. We're going to carry it nice and steady horizontally, and we're going to put it back in the same cabinet where we got it. And notice how we have our number visible on our microscope, so the next person can find the right microscope that they need. And it's positioned in the same way we got it out, right, with the arm facing us, so that it'll be real easy for the next person to grab it using two hands. Right? You don't want to turn the microscope around. That's going to make it harder to put it away and hard for the next person to get it out. So put it right back in with the number facing out, just like you found it.